December 7th, 1941. It was early morning. In Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, people were just waking up from sleep. When soudain lit from dice, thousands of bombs, burning ships, blood floating in the water, and in a single moment. The entire world changed forever, June 6, 1944, on the shores of Normandy Sea. Hundreds of thousands of young men landed, betting their lives. Death stood at every step, yet they moved forward. Because turning back was not possible, and then those dark nights. When prisgas te were born. But even in the darkness, some people kept the flame of hope burning. Today, we bring to you those real stories from World War II. Stories you may have never heard before. Stories of ordinary people who became extraordinary. Stories of soldiers, nurses, children, and even those animals who fought alongside their companions. These stories will cause pain, they will make you cry, but at the same time, they will fill your heart with a strange kind of courage. So get ready for a journey that will take you 80 years back, where every moment held fear and every moment held the victory of the human spirit. Welcome to Funny Fun Audiobook Gala, where stories are not just told, they touch the heart. Real stories from World War II. Courage amid chaos begins now. Chapter 1. The Day of Infamy. Pearl Harbor survivors on the morning of December 7th, 1941. The skies over Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, filled with the roar of Japanese aircraft. For the American sailors and civilians stationed there, it was a Sunday that shattered lives forever. One survivor, Ken Potts, was a young sailor aboard the USS Arizona. At just 20 years old, he was below deck when the first bombs struck. The massive battleship shuddered as a bomb penetrated its forward magazine, triggering a catastrophic explosion that killed 1,177 crewmen, nearly half of all American deaths that day. Potts jumped into the burning, oil-slicked harbor to escape the inferno. Flames licked the water around him, and debris rained down. But he swam to safety. Decades later, at age 100, Potts recalled the chaos. The ship went up like a volcano. His survival was miraculous. He became one of the last living witnesses to the sinking of the Arizona, a tomb that still lies at the bottom of the harbor, leaking oil as a silent memorial. Another hero that day was Chief Bosun Edwin J. Hill on the USS Nevada. As Japanese planes strafed the battleship, Hill cast off the mooring lines, allowing the ship to get underway and avoid total destruction. Burning oil surrounded the dock, but Hill swam back through the flames to reboard his ship and continue the fight. He was killed by enemy fire shortly after, earning a posthumous Medal of Honor for saving countless lives. On shore, civilians and nurses rushed to help. At the Naval Hospital, nurses like Annie Fox tended to the wounded amid ongoing attacks. Fox, the first woman to receive the Purple Heart, organized care under fire, treating burns and shrapnel wounds as bombs fell nearby. Pearl Harbor claimed over 2,400 American lives and propelled the U.S. into the war. Yet, stories of quick thinking and bravery emerged. Durrell Wade, a young aviator mechanic on the USS Oklahoma, manned his anti-aircraft gun until the end. The Oklahoma capsized after multiple torpedo hits, trapping hundreds below. Wade went down with his station, sacrificing himself so others could fight on. These accounts remind us how ordinary people faced extraordinary terror. As one survivor later said, "It was hell on earth, but we didn't run, we fought back." Chapter 2. Storming the Beaches. Heroes of D-Day, June 6, 1944. Operation Overlord. The Allied invasion of Normandy, France known as D-Day. Over 156,000 troops stormed 5 beaches under fierce German fire. On Omaha Beach, the bloodiest sector, Private John Beauford's landing craft hit a mine. But he accidentally ended up on Utah Beach. Amid confusion, paratroopers like those from the 101st Airborne Division dropped behind enemy lines overnight. One paratrooper from Kokomo, Indiana, landed lost and shouted, "Don't shoot." "I'm from Kokomo, I forgot the password." Laughter broke the tension as comrades reunited. Combat engineer David Pergrin and his 291st Battalion cleared obstacles under fire. They blew gaps in hedgerows and mines, allowing tanks to advance. Pergrin's leadership saved hundreds. Nurse accounts highlight women's bravery. Military nurses landed soon after, setting up field hospitals on the beaches. One nurse recalled treating soldiers with horrific wounds while shells exploded nearby. "We worked without stopping, saving as many as we could." In the air, pilots like Clarence Bud Anderson flew cover missions. Anderson, a triple ace, shot down enemy planes protecting the invasion fleet. A poignant story comes from Vierville civilians. French families sheltered in cellars as battles raged overhead. One family emerged to find Allied soldiers liberating their town, offering chocolate to children who hadn't seen sweets in years. D-Day cost nearly 10,000 Allied casualties, but it cracked Hitler's Atlantic Wall. As one veteran said, "We went in as boys. We came out changed forever." Chapter 3. Shadows of the Holocaust. Survival and Liberation. The Holocaust claimed 6 million Jewish lives. But stories of survival inspire hope. Andrew Roth in 1944 Mostomreive. Roth endured forced labor and starvation until transferred to Buchenwald. In April 1945, U.S. troops liberated the camp. Jack Moran, an American soldier, was among the liberators. 80 years later, in 2025, the two men both nearing 100 met for the first time. Roth shared his horrors. Moran recalled the emaciated prisoners and his tears of relief when Japan surrendered later that year. Desmond Doss, a conscientious objector and medic, exemplified faith-driven heroism. At Okinawa, Pacific, he refused to carry a weapon but saved 75 wounded soldiers under fire, lowering them down a cliff one by one. His story became the film Hacksaw Ridge. In Europe, resistance fighters like the French Maquis sabotaged railways and hid Jews. One group of 9 women, led by Helene Podliowski, smuggled people across borders. Oskar Schindler saved over 1,200 Jews by employing them in his factory. And Frank's diary captured a young girl's hope amid hiding in Amsterdam. Liberation brought mixed emotions. Soldiers like those at Dachau witnessed unimaginable atrocities but also freed survivors who kissed their boots in gratitude. These stories teach resilience. Never again, survivors vow. Chapter 4. Resistance and Hidden Heroes. Civilians fighting back across occupied Europe. Civilians resisted quietly and boldly. In London, during the Blitz, families sheltered in tube stations as bombs fell. One photo shows Londoners sleeping on platforms. defiant in daily life. French resistance fighters ambushed patrols and aided Allied airmen. Italian partisans in Milan celebrated liberation in 1945 in Poland. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising saw Jews fight Nazis with smuggled weapons. Women played key roles. Violetza Bobridgent Versvansversvaj. Captured and executed, she earned the George Cross. Native American code talkers, like Navajo in the Pacific, used their language for unbreakable communications. African American units, like the 92nd Infantry Division Buffalo Soldiers, fought segregation and Nazis in Italy. Home front heroes included Rosie the Riveter's women, building planes and ships. One unusual story: German soldiers used camels in Russia for transport, highlighting war's absurdity. Resistance proved ordinary people could defy tyranny. Chapter 5: Pacific Theater and Enduring Legacy. Battles and homecoming. The Pacific War was brutal, island by island. At Guadalcanal, John Barcelone manned machine guns. Holding off Japanese attacks and earning the Medal of Honor, he later died at Iwo Jima. Louis Zamperini survived a plane crash. 47 days on a raft, and Japanese POW camps. His story told in Unbroken. The atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki ended the war, but at great cost. Veterans' return changed. Many, like those from the Battle of the Bulge, faced frozen hell but boosted morale visiting wounded comrades. Post-war, survivors rebuilt. Jewish displaced persons started new lives. Pacific veterans like Hiro Onoda, who surrendered in 1970, for adjusted slowly. World War II's lessons: courage in adversity, unity against evil, and the cost of freedom. As one veteran said, "We fought so the world could be free." These stories honor the millions who served, suffered, and sacrificed. Chapter 6: Unsung Women Heroes, Spies, Nurses. And resistors. Women played vital roles behind the scenes and on the front lines, often risking everything without recognition. Virginia Hall was an American with a wooden leg, called the Limping Lady by the Gestapo, who named her the most dangerous Allied spy. She organized resistance networks in France, smuggled agents, and gathered intelligence. Despite her disability, she escaped over the Pyrenees Mountains on foot in winter. After the war, she worked for the CIA but stayed humble. In the Philippines, the Angels of Bataan were 77 Army and Navy nurses captured by the Japanese in 1942. They cared for thousands of sick and wounded prisoners in brutal camps, facing starvation and disease themselves. They shared meager food and worked tirelessly until liberated in 1945. Their leader, Lieutenant Josines Bitt. Many suffered lifelong health issues but saved countless lives through compassion. Nancy Wake, the White Mouse, was a New Zealand-born journalist in France. She became a top resistance courier, leading sabotage missions and helping downed Allied pilots escape. Once, she killed a German guard with her bare hands. She cycled 200 miles in 72 hours to replace a lost radio code. The Gestapo offered a huge reward for her capture, but she evaded them and survived the war. Josephine Baker, the famous singer and dancer, used her celebrity as cover. Living in France, she spied from nowhere. As a Red Cross volunteer, she entertained troops while passing intelligence. Her work helped the resistance greatly. Irena Sandler Polish work, saved 1,000 Jewish children from the Warsaw Ghetto. She smuggled them out in coffins, ambulances, and sacks, giving them false identities. Captured and tortured by the Gestapo, she never revealed names. She survived and lived to 98, always saying the real heroes were the mothers who gave up their children. These women proved courage has no gender. Their quiet sacrifices helped win the war and inspire generations. Chapter 7: The Secret Codebreakers of Bletchley Park. At Bletchley Park in England, thousands worked in secrecy to break enemy codes, shortening the war by years. Alan Turing, a brilliant mathematician, designed the bomb machine to crack the German Enigma code. His work saved millions of lives by revealing U-boat positions and battle plans. Turing faced persecution after the war for being gay, but is now celebrated as a hero. Most staff were women, about 75%. Young women, like Joan Clark, a top cryptanalyst, worked alongside Turing. She solved complex puzzles and even got engaged to him briefly. Women operated machines, translated messages, and indexed intelligence. Ruth Bourne, a teenage WRNS member, operated bomb machines day and night. The work was repetitive and stressful, but vital. Women from all backgrounds, debutantes to factory girls, contributed equally. Gordon Welchman improved the bomb and organized intelligence flow. Bill Toot broke the even harder Lorentz cipher used by Hitler himself. Bletchley intercepted messages that helped win the Battle of the Atlantic, locate targets in North Africa, and deceive Germans about D-Day. Staff swore secrecy for decades. Only in the 1970s did the world learn their story. Their intelligence, called Ultra, was a closely guarded secret that turned the tide. These quiet geniuses, working in huts with no glory, showed brainpower could defeat brute force. Chapter 8: Animal Heroes. Loyal companions in battle. Animals served bravely, saving lives and boosting morale. Judy, an English pointer, was the only dog officially a POW on a British ship sunk by Japanese. She helped survivors by finding water. In prison camps, she protected prisoners, distracted guards, and warned of air raids. She survived starvation and attacks, earning the Dickin Medal, the Animals Victoria Cross. Wojtek the bear was adopted as a cub by Polish soldiers. He grew huge but gentle, carrying ammunition crates during battles, heavier than any man. A Montcassino he loaded his unit. After the war, he lived in Edinburgh's zoo. Pigeons like G.I. Joe carried messages across enemy lines, saving battalions. One pigeon flew 20 miles in 20 minutes to stop a bombing on friendly troops. Smokey, a tiny Yorkshire Terrier found in a foxhole, became a therapy dog and engineer. She pulled communication wire through a 70-foot pipe under an airfield, saving hours of dangerous digging. Chips, a German shepherd mix, guarded Roosevelt and Churchill. In Sicily, he attacked an enemy machine gun nest, forcing surrender. Horses and mules carried supplies over mountains where vehicles couldn't go. These animals showed loyalty beyond duty, reminding soldiers of home and humanity amid horror. Chapter 9: Lesser-known acts of mercy and bravery. Even in war's darkness, humanity shone. Franz Stigler, Emigermelid, SP-17 bomber. Seeing the wounded crew, he escorted them to safety instead of shooting them down. Years later, pilot Charlie Brown found him. They became friends. In Angovilo Plain, a Tuamericomedic, Robert Wright Kenneth Moore. Stayed in a church treating wounded, both American and German. When Germans entered, they saw fair treatment and left peacefully. A Japanese soldier, Hiru Onoda, hid in the Philippines jungle for 29 years, not believing the war ended. When found in 1974, he surrendered honorably. The Christmas truce of 1914 echoes in World War II stories of brief ceasefires where enemies shared food. Raoul Wallenberg, a saved thousands of Hungarian Jews with protective passports and safe houses. He disappeared into Soviet custody. These acts remind us enemies are human too, and compassion can cross lines. Chapter 10, The Legacy of Sacrifice, Homecoming, and Remembrance. The war ended, but stories lived on. Veterans returned changed. Many suffered silently from trauma, but shared tales of brotherhood. Survivors like Andrew Roth and liberator Jack Moran met decades later, closing circles of healing. Animals like Wojtek became symbols of unity. Women codebreakers paved paths in computing and intelligence. Today, memorials honor them. Bletchley Park is a museum. Pearl Harbor remembers the fallen. World War II taught freedom's cost. Over 70 million died, but courage prevailed. As one veteran said, "We didn't fight for glory. We fought for each other and for a better world." These stories inspire us to value peace and honor sacrifice.
Dear listeners, we have heard the flames of Pearl Harbor, the blood in the seas of D-Day, the rays of hope in the dark nights of the Holocaust, and those small stories where the human spirit stood tall against every cruelty. This war was not just of guns and bombs. It was a war of humanity itself. Some people gave their lives, some left everything behind, and some simply did one thing, gave others the courage to live. Today, as we sit comfortably listening to these stories, let us remember, all of this was for us, so that we could breathe in freedom, so that we could tell our children stories of peace and love. Salute to all those heroes, those who returned, those who never came back, and those who still carry their memories in their hearts today. World War II taught us, no matter how deep the darkness, one small light, one small act of courage can change the entire world. Thank you for joining us on this journey. May God grant us all peace and strength, and may we never forget the true price of freedom. Music swells gently, then fades. This was your funny, fun audiobook gala, where stories travel from heart to heart. Chhoo. For the next story, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and don't forget to share with your friends. We'll meet again soon, with a new story and a new lesson. Goodbye, and Merry Christmas to everyone.